What if everything we thought we knew about Game of Thrones was just a cover story for a monumental truth? What if the fantasy world we loved was actually a detailed roadmap for how the elite operate in our own reality? It sounds absurd, right? But let's dive into this rabbit hole together. You might just find yourself leaning forward in anticipation. Imagine this. Game of Thrones isn't merely a tale of dragons and battles. It's a hidden manual for power dynamics that real-world leaders could very well be using. Yes, you heard that right. The intricate schemes, the backstabbing, and the alliances formed in the shadows could reflect how power truly works in our world. Now think about that for a moment. Are we all just living in a giant Game of Thrones, unaware that we're merely pieces on a chessboard? Stay with me here because the plot thickens. Now let's take a wild leap. Instead of dismissing dragons as mere mythical creatures, what if they represent something far more tangible? What if they're an allegory for real scientific advancements? With modern genetic engineering on the rise, wouldn't it be fitting to think of dragons as the ultimate genetic experiments? Imagine what scientists could do if they had the resources to create a fire-breathing beast. It's a little terrifying, isn't it? But also oddly fascinating. And it begs the question, are we already living in a world where the line between fantasy and reality blurs more than we'd like to admit? And then there's the Wall. Oh yes, that formidable structure protecting Westeros from the White Walkers. But wait, what if we reframe the Wall as not just a defensive barrier, but rather as a metaphorical vault, safeguarding crucial knowledge and technology from the public? Think about it. In our world, there are layers of information hidden away, kept from the masses. The Wall could symbolize the real-world barriers preventing us from accessing the truth. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more absurd, let's pivot to recent developments that tie all of this together. In just the last 6 months, discussions around genetic editing technologies like CRISPR have exploded. The same way Daenerys transformed energy markets with her dragons, today's biotech advancements could reshape our very society. This isn't just about science, it's about power, control, and who gets to write the narrative. And speaking of narratives, have you noticed how communities are reacting to renewable energy projects? The tension mirrors the drama of Westeros, with each side vying for control over resources and influence. It's a real-life Game of Thrones, and we're all players in this strange saga. Now let's not forget the why nobody is talking about factor. Military simulations. Yes, those exercises we often overlook. They reflect the very battles fought in Westeros, yet few recognize these connections as part of real-world strategy development. It's almost comical if you think about it. While we're binge-watching, strategists are plotting their own versions of the Red Wedding. And what about the influence of fiction on policy? Popular culture shapes public perception of leadership, and Game of Thrones is no exception. It's a wild ride, isn't it? As we peel back these layers, we must ask ourselves, what if the real power lies in the stories we believe? Each revelation unveils another thread in this intricate tapestry. Are we simply players in someone else's game? The implications of these secrets could alter our understanding of authority and reality itself. So, as you ponder this absurd connection between fantasy and our world, remember that the next chapter is just around the corner, and it promises to be even more outrageous. What if Jon Snow is actually a government clone? Imagine the headlines. And what about the Lannisters? Their banking cartel could be the financial empire we never knew existed. As we venture deeper into this bizarre intersection of fiction and reality, remember, winter is always coming, but so is a new dawn of understanding. Are you ready for the next twist in this fantastical tale? Because trust me, you won't want to miss it.